Hi Buccaneers, good day. I hope everybody's well. I'm very well as we are heading into the FIFA international break. Having started the season with two losses against Skukune United and Marumo Gallants, Orlando Pirates, they are back on track as they managed to combine three straight victories against Stellenbosch Orbit College and recently against Chippa United. And I think it is in that period that the management and the coach and technical team, they've got the report as to what they need to do next before the transfer window closes. And I think there are a few players that I believe that they still have high chances of moving before the transfer window shuts on the 22nd of September and then 2025. Now, if you look at Orlando Pirates at the right back position, they still have Bandile Shandu is there. They have Dino van Rooyen, who've got injured recently. They have Thabiso Lebitso, who has just came back. And you have a player like Sebele Bele, who has been able to also plug the gap at the back whenever needed. And then that gives you four fullbacks players who can play as right backs. And then on top of them, you have the new signing, Tsepo Mashilwane from Baroka, who had a shaky start at the Orlando Pirates. And maybe one would say those starts came too early for him, because he was still trying to settle. And then you also have Siyabonga Ndlozi, who got his debut last season in the CAF Champions League by Jose Riviero. And then it makes them six at the right back. I'm saying when you take Sebele, consider that Sebele can also play there. So I think going into as the transfer window will be closing and in 3 weeks time, I think Orlando Pirates they will have to make a move, and I think either Siyabonga Ndlozi or Tsepo Mashilwane will go out on loan, because now the return of Thabiso Lebitso, who was very solid and adept at both ends of the pitch, as we know him against Chippa United, his former club. He showed that Orlando Pirates now they've got depth at the right back. Bandile Shandu is there, Dino van Rooyen is there, Sebele can also cover at left back. So it's going to be either Mashilwane leaving on loan, because we know that he just arrived from Baroka, but he hasn't really covered himself with glory on those first games that the coach decided to start with him. The coach was looking for him to bring the height, to help the team at the back, especially on set pieces, but he hasn't been able to do that. But there is something that I have seen what his former coach at Baroka, Dendens Malisala, saying about Mashilwane. He said that Mashilwane, his problem is dealing with crosses. He cannot anticipate crosses, and then he said even at Baroka is the same problem that he struggled with. So coming to Orlando Pirates and just looking at his height and thinking that he can help, I think that the coach Absalom Wadu, he did, because he thought that Mashilwane, his height will help. But you look at the goal that they considered against Marumo Gallants, the winning goal for Marumo Gallants, that was more of a cross coming on the other side, and the player who just came off the bench running into that ball, he was with Mashilwane, and Mashilwane couldn't anticipate and cut inside quickly, tag in quickly to get ahead of the player. And those are some of the elements that you get from the statement of Coach Dendens Malisala. So I strongly believe that Tsepo Mashilwane is one of the players that Orlando Pirates can decide to loan, but it will be better for him to be loaned to a club in PSL, not at the Motsepe Championship where Baroka is playing. So I think he will be one player who will be loaned. For Siyabonga Ndlozi, it remains 50-50 at this stage. But I think for the sake of healthy competition and depth at the right back, I think when everybody's fit, like Dino van Rooyen, Thabiso Lebitso, Bandile Shandu, having Sebele Bele who can also plug the gap at right back, I think it's a healthy competition. It's enough depth. Everybody will be able to fight, knowing that they are competing with 3 players ahead of them, or 2 players, if we are not talking about Sebele Bele. But now still, if we have injury crisis, Sebele Bele can still come. And I think Ndlozi and Mashilwane, they are players who are likely to be sent out on loan. And then what can happen is that Pirates can set in a clause in the loan to say that we can be able to recall any of these players in January should we have injuries that needs us to bring somebody. So we will be able to recall them in January. So I think those are the clauses that it can be do. But for the sake of healthy competition, Orlando Pirates, they need to do that with Ndlozi and Mashilwane, because and then Van Rooyen is still injured, but then Lebitso is back, as well as Bandile Shandu is there. And as I said, Sebele can also cover. Now we move to the left back position. That is very thin. There is nobody who's going to go out to the left back. If anything, somebody will be brought in at that left back position. And I'm thinking of Tabarapo, who's at FC, and he was supposed to have moved overseas after the AFCON, since a lot of clubs they were interested in him, especially in Belgium. He hasn't moved. But then if you look at that left back position, it's only Dion Hotto who is there, it's only Ngosukono Ndaba is there. And I've said this many times that Orlando Pirates, they need a cover at left back, because if they are looking to use Mbogazi at left back when in terms of crisis, I don't think Mbogazi will do well at left back, because he will be better off as a defensive midfielder than as a left back who's needed to make those rounded runs, making sure that he's adept at both ends of the pitch. I don't think he has that stamina to keep up Mbogazi there. So I think Neo Rapo should be the player that Orlando Pirates, they start negotiating for him, so that before the transfer window shuts, they get that player to make sure that they've got enough depth as they will be preparing to go into the CAF Champions League in this season's CAF Champions League, so that they have enough depth at that left side of the pitch. But then in that midfield, we've got Selepe there, and then we've got Cameron Denson, the youngsters that they were given debut by Jose Riveiro last season. If you look at the midfield now, the Orlando Pirates, they've brought Sikhandulu, who has stabilized the midfield in front of the back four. He has helped Orlando Pirates to have a better rest defense, and they are yet to consider from defensive transitions. Now, when you look at that midfield, and then considering that Makatleni Makaula is training, is coming back, he will be soon back in action, maybe after international break, he will be back on the pitch, Makatleni Makaula. You still have Mbata there, who has also been used as a 6, and then when you consider that you've got Selepe, who is yet to play, you have Cameron Denson. Those are the two youngsters with a lot of potential, of which anybody would love to see them playing regularly. But unfortunately, due to the competition at Orlando Pirates, where the coach is still trying to know his team and establishing his team at Orlando Pirates, it becomes a little bit difficult now for them to play regularly. But for them to grow, they need to play regular football. So you have Cameron Denson, you have Selepe at the same time, and then one of them, I think Orlando Pirates, they need to make sure that they loan him out to go and get more regular game time, because Selepe, remember, he was just now on the Bafana team called by Hugo Bros. So that they played the friendlies against Tanzania recently. So he's one of the players that Orlando Pirates, they will decide whether to keep him or Cameron. But I don't think if they stay, both of them they stay, they will get enough game time. I think one of them should be able to be loaned out to get more game time in that central midfield, because now you still have Masindi Namotanchela, who's yet to play as well. Then you've got Sipombule, who's always been bringing that stability, composure, and technical security due to his pressure resistance in that midfield whenever he's coming off from the bench. And then you've got Tito, and Kabelo Dlamini this season hasn't played much as well. So that tells you about the competition that is so stiff in that attacking midfield role. So I think Selepe and Denson, one of them should be going on loan to make sure that he gets more game time. Yeah, so when we go up top, I think there is Buitumelo Radiopane there is Makhopa, there is Mabasa, and the new signing, Yanela Mbutuma. And from what we have seen from Mbutuma so far, he hasn't covered himself with glory, especially in the first 3 games that he was given a chance to play along with Radiopane, that sometimes it will be Radiopane. He was coming off the bench replacing Radiopane later in the game. But I think Mbutuma at this stage, despite the qualities that we know he has, I think is one player that I believe that he needs a loan move. You know, he needs a loan move, of which can allow Orlando Pirates maybe to look to bring another striker, while Mbutuma is going to get more game time to develop further at another club. Because if you look at Radiopane is more favored by the coach, and he's always in and around the matchday squad, of which it shows that he's ahead in the pecking order, ahead of Mbutuma. So I think Yanela Mbutuma is one player who can also be considered to go out on loan before the current transfer window closes, because remember, he was just called for the Bafana team. So we don't want to dampen his spirit because lack of regular game time, and as a result, he will no longer be considered for a national team. So I think he's one of the players that I strongly believe that he should be considered. Namotanchela is yet to play in that midfield, but I don't think there is anything to worry about, even because even the coach knows him very well. He coached him at Marumo Gallants last season, so I don't think there is anything to worry about. So those are the players, guys, that I strongly believe that they could go on loan. Mashilwane, I expect him to leave. Ndlozi as well, it's 50-50 for him. He's going to leave in that midfield. Denson and Selepe, either of them should make way so that they after leaving, he allows the other to get chances in that midfield as well. So up top, as I said, Mbutuma, I think is the player that the team needs to send him out on loan. Abdoulaye Mariko, I'm not sure how the team is looking at him, the coach is looking at him now, because seems to be favoring him. He's been playing even against Sundowns, a big game. He's playing Mariko. But my personal opinion, I was thinking that Mariko perhaps he needs to get a loan move as well. But if the coach is able with him, I'm not going to say anything. But others that I've mentioned, I strongly believe that they need to get loan moves. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please don't forget to leave your comment below as we engage further on this video. Thank you so much, Buccaneers.